So Mercedes rocked up to Bahrain testing and seemed to have left half of their car behind. They have completely redesigned the rear end of their car to remove the side pods altogether. Well, almost. They have slimmed the side of their car down so far that there is barely a side pod there, only really enough to satisfy the regulations. So what are they doing, and how on earth are they getting enough cooling to that Mercedes engine? Let's go. So the Mercedes already had a very slim rear end with pretty small side pods that narrowed very tightly over the engine and gearbox at the rear of the car. And this was thought to be so that there is maximum surface area for airflow over the floor. And lots of teams have been doing this in different ways. Undercuts, holes in the side pods, narrowing the entire rear of the car. And I'm sure we're going to see more ideas throughout the season. And there is good reasons for these efforts. The floor works by creating low pressure underneath the car, and the larger the pressure difference, the more downforce. So focusing on generating really clean flow over the top of the floor makes sense, generating more downforce as well as keeping the diffuser working at its best. So Mercedes have taken this about 5 steps forward. They have taken away as much of their side pod as physically possible. This will be helping them reduce drag as cooling inlets are draggy, so that tiny inlet will help out a bit. But that's not the focus. It's about what happens further back. They have packaged everything so tight and shrink wrapped the bodywork around it. This is to enable better flow over the rear of the floor, as well as helping manage rear tyre wake as well. It also allows more lateral flow across the floor edge, something Mercedes have been doing before. Only this design seems to allow even more of this. And look at this. Look at just how much floor is visible now. And we're thinking just what you're thinking. Surely you can't just delete your side pods. They're in the rules, right? Well, there are a couple of things. You have to have an air inlet in there, and it has to be of a certain size. But Mercedes seems to have fulfilled that regulation. But then there is the side impact structure, and that looks to be why this fin/wing thing is there by the wing mirror. It's covered in an aero shroud that looks to be driving flow downwards towards the floor edge. But from all of the reaction from the other teams especially, they were all shocked that Mercedes were able to package everything that small in the first place. There is so much that has to be around that engine. Cooling systems, intercooler, hydraulics, and the list goes on. Mercedes haven't really shuffled a lot around in the rear of the car to enable this. The radiators still seem to be in the same place, only packaged very well indeed. But one of the main concerns, I think we're all thinking the same, is how on earth are they cooling that engine? Well, remember the Alpine in testing last year? It had a strange, really big roll hoop intake. Williams have been trying that this year, and initially it looked like Mercedes were doing this as well, but it's likely that they're actually not. And now the roll hoop of the Mercedes looks pretty much unchanged, so all of the cooling for the car seems to be coming from these tiny side pod inlets. And as our friend Scarbs has suggested on Twitter, it looks like the radiators are just slimmed down, but still in the same place as usual. It's amazing they've managed to get everything in there. And clearly they think they can cool the car enough. But there has been history with Mercedes and not enough cooling, so we'll see. Oh, and look at this post from Scarbs. A week before we saw this from Mercedes. He's nailed it again. Check out this video about Williams' bizarre side pod design. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one as the season gets underway.